time to build our PC. We're building our Blu-ray system right here. We've got our tools, we've got our motherboard, we've got our CPU, and we've got our case. That's what we're going to start with today.
Alright, well you get the case ready, I'll get the motherboard ready.
Okay, one of the most important things when it's touching any computer component is to make sure you're grounded, make sure you don't have any static electricity. Usually touching a steel computer case will ground you, so that way when you touch your motherboard or touch a video card or CPU, you're not using any, or you don't have any static electricity which could physically damage.
If you want to be really daggy, you can wear a wrist strap. I don't know anybody who uses these anymore. But
well, you know, a lot of professionals do use static straps where they strap geeks. If you're really pedantic about your computer hardware and you can't afford to damage anything, then one of these straps, which comes with most computer toolkits, like the one you see down the side, it basically just clips onto a piece of metal, like a leg of a table or whatever else, using a little what they call crocodile clip of some sort, and then straps around your arm. We're not going to use one of these today because I'm kind of got to the stage now where I'm constantly grounding myself anyway. So now that we've got the lid off our case, the first thing we need to do is clear out everything to make sure we've got enough room for the motherboard. You don't want to be putting it on top of any of the cables or anything in here. This particular case has a lot of extra features. These features include the front LCD display. Just moving everything back through here so that I can completely out of my way. So we'll just move all the cables for the front connectors out of the way. Just put them in there for now. Our fan power connectors, move them completely out of the way. And the next thing we want to do is actually install the backplate for the motherboard. Every case should come with a backplate like that, and it'll pop out very easily. We'll open up our backplate that was supplied with our motherboard. This particular one has a couple of option slots here, as you can see there, an extra 3 audio ones there. Obviously this particular motherboard comes with different audio options. The board we have has all the audio connectors on it, so we will remove these completely before we install it. So they're on an angle, so when I insert the motherboard they'll actually be on top of the LAN port and the other port there, which is a firewire. So you've got your 4 USB firewire on LAN that goes up there. Now that all the little extra bits have been pushed out of the back panel, we'll just insert in the back here. It should theoretically go in easy. Sometimes it might be a bit of a tight fit, and it'll take a little bit of extra effort. And the next thing we need to do is line up our motherboard and make sure our spaces are in the right spot, and we'll install our motherboard. Now, if we just pop our motherboard inside the case, nice and easily, we'll be able to have a look where our spaces are, which go underneath the motherboard. You do not want to have any extra spaces in your case, as they may short out circuits underneath the motherboard. So we will line it all up. I need to move the 2 back ones to these positions here. All the ones along the front line up perfectly. So I'll take the motherboard back out and remove those 2 back spaces. Now, after opening up the bag of little screws that comes with the computer case, I did find a couple of extra spacer screws, so I won't have to remove those round screws at the back there, which can be quite difficult to remove. But if you do have any of these screws underneath the motherboard which shouldn't be there, do remove them first. So we've got a special tool here which comes with our PC toolkit, and it's basically a little socket for our spacer screws there, specially designed. As you can see, all the spaces line up. There's no extra ones underneath the motherboard, and now we're ready to screw it in. So the case does come with its own screws, all the screws we need to fix the motherboard. Old cases used to get supplied with fibre washers to go in between the motherboard and the screws. Again, with all the screws, you don't want to over tighten them. You don't want to do any damage to the motherboard or damage to the thread of the screw. If it does not go in easy, do not force it, because you will thread the spacer there. And there we have it. Our motherboard is fully inserted into our computer case. So now we're going to insert our CPU we'll open up our bracket, just like so, and that reveals the pins which are actually underneath that protection bracket there. The CPU itself does not have any pins on it, unlike older CPUs. It's just a flat surface, as you can see there. It's just a flat surface on the bottom of the CPU with no pins whatsoever. You'll notice on the Intel Core 2 Duo CPU, there's two little grooves at the top of the CPU there. They are keyed spots, so when you insert it, you cannot get it in the wrong way. The CPU will just sit on top of all the pins like so, nice and easy. There's no forcing down, no trying to plug it in whatsoever. Once it's sitting on top of those pins there and the keys are in their correct places, we can close our bracket. Next thing we're going to do is install our CPU fan, heatsink fan, which actually gets supplied with the CPU itself. It is slimmer, lighter than previous Intel CPU fans, meaning that the CPU itself doesn't generate as much heat. The clips are all fully attached to the fan itself. First thing I want to do is untangle the power connector cable. So rather than having a loose cable like that, what we're going to do is actually twist the power cable just by spinning the fan while holding the end of it. And what it does, it just makes the cable a lot neater when you're installing the fan itself. If you have a look on the bottom of the fan here, you'll see little arrow heads which need to go in the 4 holes which are around the CPU socket there. So we will place the fan in, make sure all the holes line up, and then simply push down on clips on the side. When it's properly secure, you'll notice you cannot move the CPU fan or heatsink whatsoever. It is like part of the motherboard now. Now that we twisted our cable, no matter where we put it, it's going to nicely curl up and be out of the way. Our CPU fan header is here on the motherboard next to the RAM, so make sure it is completely out of the way of the RAM, the fans on the side here as well. The fan itself does actually provide little clips around it for the cable, but in this particular case, I've chosen to put the exit of the wires at the bottom closest to the actual CPU socket. It also means that our logo is the same way up as the motherboard logo, just for aesthetics. And I've tied up the cable there, as you can see, just using a normal cable tie, and I cut off the excess cable tie there. Now we're going to install the RAM.
Time for some woman hands in the shop now. RAM's pretty easy to install, and in this case we have 2 modules and there's 2 DIMM sockets, so I'm just going to open them up. When you look at a RAM module, you'll notice that one side is slightly shorter along the bottom than the other, and you just line that up with the motherboard.
So one side from the key, correct?
That's correct. There's a key in the middle. This side, as you can see, is just a little bit shorter than this side, and same goes for the DIMM socket on the actual motherboard. You just place it in, press down, and it'll basically click into place with those side.
Okay, so we have our motherboard fully installed in our PC case. The CPU has been installed in the RAM. What are we going to be doing in our next video, Fiona?
In next week's video, we will install the hard drive and the Sony BD-ROM drive. We'll also hook up the power supply, of course, and any front panel connectors and things like that.
Now, we did have a couple of little issues when we were installing the CPU central processing unit into the actual motherboard there.
Right.
The fan itself, the Intel CPU fan connectors, the little twisty pins there, can be a little bit tough at times. Be patient with them, make sure that the socket is in the hole correctly, don't force it, and also make sure you don't bend up either the latch and actually damage the CPU fan itself. Once it's there to stay, it's nice and solid, but that's about the only real issue we had when we were installing the motherboard, CPU and RAM.
Yeah.
Excellent. Talk to you next time.